we've returned to the home of Yonex in the Niigata prefecture of Japan. We discovered their dedication to quality back in 2019 when we visited their factories for the first time. The trip was so impactful, we simply had to return to see how a Yonex VCORE is made. Hi, I'm Chris Edwards with Tennis Warehouse. I'm here with Yonex's Shohei Deguchi, and we are in the Yonex racket factory in Niigata, Japan. And back at Tennis Warehouse, we've been loving the playability of these new VCORE rackets, and Shohei's going to show us how they get made. And you got a piece of material here. This is how it all starts, correct?
That's right. This is called a pre-preg, which is a resin and a carbon fiber all mushed together into one piece. Each racket has different pre-pregs for each one of them for their characteristics for flexibility and stiffness.
Can you explain how the change in angle changes the stiffness of the racket?
So the extreme angle actually makes the racket a little more stiffer. So the way it's angled, when it gets really extreme, it gets really, really stiff.
The core of a racket's performance can be traced to its layup design, which you see during this stage of the process. By strategically placing the pre-preg material at a specific angle, the desired stiffness for a racket is achieved. In this new VCORE, Yonex added more resin to the pre-preg in order to add plushness to the feel of the racket.
So for specific rackets, we have specific, like I said, angles, and then we have different materials and different layups. For VCOREs, we have spin. For E-Zone, it's about power. VCORE Pro, it's about control. And we try to adjust the positioning and the layup of the pre-pregs to make it into those three rackets.
Once the pre-preg is laid out, it moves over to the guide where the racket will be shaped. This shape will greatly influence the racket's playability. The next step in building the new VCORE is the shaped pre-preg now goes into the racket mold. Can you tell us some of the differences, some of the changes you've done to the shape of the racket?
So what we did for the new VCORE, we wanted more power compared to the previous generations. So we tried to make the shaft a little bit thicker than the previous one. And the hoop is a combination of a box frame and an aerodynamic frame at the same time. So it's a little bit triangular and a box at the same time.
After the frame has been baked, it's drilled to the specified string pattern, then sanded. To complement the VCORE's new frame design, updated string spacing increases the launch angle of the ball, while new Liner-Tech grommets help the racket strings snap back powerfully to maximize spin. Once these steps are complete, the rackets must pass one of over 50 quality inspections that happen throughout the manufacturing process. When given the okay, it's time to hit the paint shop. So here, when you see the racket on the Tennis Warehouse website or you're taking one out to the court, you see this beautiful red color, but it's actually several different colors before we get to see that, right?
So we have a base coat, which is a gray, and then for VCORE, we try to pop out the original red color onto the VCORE. So we put a pink color first, and then a red coating with these robots right here behind me.
So when we play tennis, it's nice to have a great playing racket in our hands, but it's also nice to have a beautiful racket in our hands, and they're really starting to take shape right now. Can you tell us this next process?
So this process, after when it's all painted and done, we put the decals on the racket, and then what she's doing is based off of the grommet holes, using the guide, she's putting the decals by softening it with water on top of it, and then putting it in on the rackets.
Can you take us through some of the design details of this new VCORE?
Yeah, so the new VCORE, we have a darker red color than the previous one. And then, since we're a 7th generation of the VCORE, there's a 0 and a 7 hidden on the decals.
After the decals have been applied, the rackets are then moved to another factory for the finishing touches.
Shohei, the rackets have arrived here at the finishing factory. What's the next step in the process?
So the rackets have grommets in, and now in this machinery that's next to me, we're trying to flare out the grommet holes to make the grommets to be locked in tight with the rackets.
It looks to me like you've changed the grommet slightly on this model.
So we changed the color of the grommets this time around, and then normally it's all black out, but for the 7th generation of VCORE, we wanted to pop out the red color more.
So far the VCOREs have just had the graphite pin. Looks like they're getting their pallets installed on this machine behind us.
So we have the polyurethane grip coming in. We have a metal mold for each model, and we'll put them in the furnace, and this is what you get.
Once the pallet has been baked on, the handle starts to take shape with a specific size pallet used for each grip size. Next, the pallet will be cleaned, removing any leftover flashing or imperfections. From there, the correctly sized butt cap is both glued and stapled on for a secure and lasting fit. A synthetic grip will then be meticulously yet efficiently wrapped around each handle, completing the racket's grip. I can say from my previous visit, this process is much harder than it looks. It's amazing to witness the merge between human touch and craftsmanship with modern machinery and technology to create the ultimate racket, the Yonex VCORE.
It's been really fun watching thousands of VCOREs come down the production line. Thank you so much for taking us through that. And it's just a great thought to have that all these rackets are going to go out there and totally stoke out some lucky tennis player.